And you have just crossed the line. End of debate. Report to the cargo bay and remain there until this is over. Is that understood?
So it's like that.
It's for real though.
So it's for real though. So it's like that, yo. Yeah.
That's right, though.
Do you know what I've been feeling? Do you know there's a mashup of Rihanna with Luther Vandross? Dun, dun, dun.
A house is not an umbrella?
No, it's not
Imagine.
an umbrella. No, it's her song, Kiss It Better, but it's his woke up today, looked at your picture, blah 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 blah, blah. It's really good.
Really?
Will send it to me?
It's fabulous. I will.
All right,
So
awesome.
I am wearing my Janeway is Twisted.
Janeway so
shirt.
twisted.
So twisted, and
Oh,
as Matinga noticed, I did get sort of like a roomier loungewear size for myself.
yeah.
It's a very, you know what? It's a cool, striking image.
Yeah.
It really
I love
is.
Mrs. Roper.
How about Mrs. Roper, bitch? What about her?
Hello.
Honey, we're all
You're giving me the shirt a la Mrs. Roper.
Kaftan.
Oh,
We're
like-
all Mrs. Roper.
Like I'm giving you like caftans now?
Yeah.
Honey, okay. As long as we're talking turkey, I got these. I saw the other day I couldn't find my glasses, and like for 8 hours, and I went crazy, and I got like those things to like hold your glasses in place, and I got these.
Fabulous.
Hold up, I'm gonna put them on for the shoot, but first I'm gonna stop the video. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, hello.
She didn't stop the video. It's still recording.
My video, bitch.
Honey.
A video.
She's more like cafe and she's more like caftans and cafe curtains, if you know what that means.
My boss wears caftans all the time. That she just feels comfortable wearing them like that.
Really?
So is it giving you Mrs. Roper?
It's giving me one ringy dingy, two ringy dingy.
Yeah. Very that. Yeah.
Ernestine? I don't know.
Yeah.
I went to the fucking dollar store. I was like, I just can't lose my glasses again. I said I want to get the most old ladyish ones I can find.
It's fabulous.
Thank you, darling. But you're supposed
And
to wear them, I think
you
on the
need to wear them
back.
that way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you'll lose them. If you're wearing them that way, you'll still lose your glasses.
Here we go, right?
There you go.
Oh, that's a look, honey.
Hello,
That is.
darlings. Hello.
Darlings.
Welcome to Fire Chakotay, darlings.
It's the most Jewish
Ah.
Star Trek podcast
Well,
in the galaxy.
This
Mrs.
side of the-
Roper. Mrs. Roper was a big Trekkie, honey.
Yes, she was.
Yes.
She's like, Stanley, give it to me Klingon tonight, darling.
Honey, give it to me Klingon style tonight.
I'm
Hit me
cooking,
with the
I'm
bad
cooking you some gach.
Gah.
Ugh.
What's with this?
Honey.
Ugh.
I'm gonna eat that dry old muffin. I'm gonna gah.
Ugh. Ugh. I feel like Klingon tonight. This is Fire Chakotay. I am Mike Diamond.
This is Miss Matinga.
And this is Booby.
And this is the most emblematic, problematic, automatic Trek podcast in the quadrant Helion.
It sure is.
Yes, where we talk about all things Star Trek Voyager, episode by episode, but only the episodes that we want to talk about.
Learn it.
That's right. That's right. The episodes that we want to celebrate and the episodes that we want to denigrate.
I want to denigrate them, honey.
Yes.
But this is an episode I want to celebrate.
I'm glad you do.
Oh, okay.
That's all I got to say.
All right, so we are going to be talking about the season 5 episode of Star Trek Voyager called Counterpoint.
Denigrate.
That's right. We denigrate, honey.
Miss Booby,
Denigrate.
you need time to Google that, Miss Booby?
No.
No.
And
no.
it's episode 10, season 5. It is the 104th episode overall to have been done of Star Trek Voyager, and it premiered on 12/16/98.
I can't be Mrs. Roper. I can't be Mrs. Roper right now, darling.
Honey,
Yes.
Can you not be Mrs. Roper? That's the thing.
That's
Let's
the
I
see.
question.
feel like Klingon tonight.
Oh, by the way, you are wearing official Fire Chakotay merchandise.
I am indeed.
That is the
Indeed.
Janeway is Twisted t-shirt, the Geesh.
Janeway is Twisted, which you can get at our merch at
Check it out.
teespring.com/store/workshop.
I wonder what she would think if we sent her a shirt like that.
Janeway? She'd be like,
Yeah.
how these
Okay.
fucking idiots get my address?
Exactly.
Close
That's
the
exactly what it
rift.
would be. Yeah, that's exactly what it'd be. And I'm not wearing Fire Chakotay merch. I'm just wearing homework merch, but I'm wearing our I'll munch your tray for a cigarette t-shirt. And you can just try and figure out what that means.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you wanted to explain that to what our viewers are, but that kind of thing
Listeners,
explains it all.
This is an audio podcast, guys. I just want to reiterate that again. And Booby, if you need to Google reiterate, we can like pause for a second. Well, and by the way, if we send any kind of merch, if we send any kind of merch to Kate Mulgrew, she would talk to her assistant and she'd be like, Ashley, close the rift.
Close the rift.
You're fired. That seems to be the theme of the evening.
Call up HR and she'd be like, look, Mulgrew is always having me close the rift.
Now, Balana.
I'm just exhausted.
We could use that now. So, you know what? As an experiment, we're going to somehow send merch to Kate Mulgrew. And the restraining orders will follow. So we are talking about the episode Counterpoint, season 5, episode whatever Miss Matinga just said.
10.
Okay, excuse me, sorry. And
104th episode.
Yes, it's season 5, which I think is really one of Voyager's best seasons.
We're rolling along.
We are rolling along. So as the episode opens, the crew of the Voyager is preparing to be boarded for inspection, and clearly it's not their first time at this rodeo.
Kahari vessel, prepare to be inspected.
We know the drill.
By a species named the Devore. The Devore.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, but doesn't that sound kind of
basic?
Kind of Golden
black.
Girls-ish.
Kind of black, right? The Devore.
I had a teacher named Mrs. DeVore in junior high, and everyone called her Clown Face because she would cake on the makeup. But I just want to say for the record, she was fabulous, and I loved her.
Mrs. DeVore?
Yeah.
Miss or Mrs.?
Ms.
Ms. DeVore.
Ms. DeVore.
It's giving me Golden Girls.
DeVore. Well, anyway,
DeVore.
So Janeway's sitting there, and on screen comes one of these DeVore motherfuckers. And he's like, Gahari vessel, prepare for inspection. And I just want to say that my new drag name is Gahari Vessel.
Miss Gahari Vessel.
I'm a stranger in a strange land. And
She's
Janeway's
Indian.
Janeway's like, yo, we know the fucking drill, okay? Whatever.
So clearly they have been boarded multiple times while traveling through this space.
Right.
So
and it's a harsh inspection.
These jackbooted thugs.
Yeah.
Running rampant, breaking things in sick.
Breaking shit, yeah.
And trying to give Balana fever. And we don't exactly know what they're looking for yet, but they're roughing stuff with their Devore puffs. So as this is happening, we suddenly hear classical music. Janeway is summoned to her own ready room. The look on her face, she's like,
oh no.
Oh no, I didn't. And her ready room, Inspector Kashyyyk. And by the way, isn't that Chewbacca's planet?
It sure is.
Kashyyyk. Isn't it Kashyyyk?
No, that was a funk band.
No, that was just chic.
No, that was Les Chic. Say freak. Freak out.
Oh. Which I did a fierce.
Chic.
I did a fierce Vogue routine to me and Booby at 10:18, or maybe it had become the Roxy already, on straight night, and we danced to Les Chic. I mean, we weren't hired; we were just on the dance floor.
Right.
And honey, we turned the straight people out around us.
Hello.
We turned them out. I do want to say that the actor Mark Herelick portrays Kashyyyk. He's kind of hot, Kashyyyk, kind of hot.
I didn't know that his name was Mark Herelick, but I love that his name is Herelick because I noticed later in the episode he's got some hairy arms.
Yes,
this bitch is giving you hairy arms
and like very like a revenant sort of appearance in his face. Like there's something kind of austere. He's handsome, but he's also sort of sunken in.
Also kind of cunty.
Like he been through some shit.
Yes.
And I think because the prosthetics of this alien race are covering his eyebrows, he just looks extra like femme queen to me.
Kind of hawkish.
A little bit. I haven't decided if I find him sexy or not, but that's really not the point.
Neither here nor there.
I thought it was, honey, put him in a Santa Claus outfit.
Jesus.
What? Honey.
Ain't no Christmas in Star Trek, darling. Only Picard Day.
Only Picard Day. Dry old Picard Day.
Right. For celebrating a man who hates children. Okay, so Captain Janeway is called into the ready room, and there's Inspector Hairy Arms and his henchman Prax. And he's like, yo, I took it upon myself to get into your music. And Janeway's like, yeah. And he's like, and I like replicating coffee. And Janeway's like, yeah. And he's like, you like it black, right? And she like, black.
Yeah.
So Prax brings her coffee, and then Inspector Harry Arms says, get out. And then they have a conversation.
To Prax.
To Prax, not to Janeway. Take your coffee and go.
Get out.
And then they have this conversation.
Mahler, Symphony Number 1, am I correct?
You're getting to know my musical database better than I do.
I've had time to review it since our last encounter.
Tell me, are all of your inspections this personal?
I'm just trying to get to know you, Captain. There's no reason for us to be adversaries. I could be your friend. And right now, you could certainly use one.
Really? Why is that?
Your predicament?
And he's being very solicitous with her. Like, he's vibing on her music. He's rifling through the database.
Drinking her coffee.
He's drinking her coffee. And he, at first I was like, is this manipulation? Is he trying to mac on her? I also want to say that there is a lapse in narrative logic during this episode, because they are being stopped again and again going through divorce space, right? Again and again for these very invasive, what would you call them? Inspections. Because this race has a fear of species that have telepathic abilities. Now, after the first couple of times, now you're in their space, right? Now you're in their space. After the first couple of times, why are you still checking? What is there to check for?
I think for the very reasons that the episode lays out.
Well, right. But you would, it's all sort of, it's weird. Like, how would they know that Voyager has taken these telepathic refugees? By the way, not the first pack of telepathic refugees that Voyager has taken. They've taken in several different packs of refugees that were telepathic, and it always causes problems. But so why is it Voyager that's going to do this? And clearly, like, do the Devore think that they are being misled and that's why they keep checking? Or is this just something that happens while you go through divorce space? I just found it odd that they would check so much.
I think they're just suspicious by nature.
Right.
And also a little mean.
Very commandant.
A little. It's very Nazi.
Very Nazi.
They're mean.
Very Nazi.
They're mean. And we'll get to the reason why they don't trust telepathic races. And as we know, Tuvok is a
Ensign
Vulcan.
Vorik. There's a couple betazoids.
So there are telepathic crew members. And, Inspector Kashyyyk is like, I noticed that these crew members from the Manifest, where are they?
They're dead. Tuvok, Vorik, and Gerard died in a shuttle crash about 2 months ago.
That's fortunate. For you, I mean.
So I think he's already like, So after the Devore leave, after the inspection, Seven and Harry and B'Elanna and everybody working in concert materializes 12 people in the cargo bay. The 12 missing, the 4 missing crew members and 8 refugees.
Correct.
Telepathic refugees. So where have they been during the inspection?
In transporter land.
And also, they were in the pattern buffer. They were being held in stasis in the pattern buffer.
Right.
But also, no explanation as to why is Janeway risking her ship and her crew for these particular telepaths. How did they come across these telepaths? How did these telepaths engage them into this particular mission? What brought Janeway to this decision? We're just going to fly right over it and jump midway into the story.
I guess
because, Prime Directive.
That ain't the Prime Directive.
The Prime Directive is you do not interfere with species that aren't warp capable.
But they might be warp capable.
They could very well be warp capable, yeah.
Right. Maybe they're warp capable telepaths who don't have a ride at the moment.
Right.
So they're trying to hook up with a transport that's going to get those refugees through a wormhole to safety.
Miss Janeway
risking the lives of her crew.
Of her crew again.
Yeah.
Katie.
Papaya.
Katie.
So after they rematerialize the telepaths, we go to sickbay where it seems like there's been some cellular degradation from this repeated use of holding them in the pattern buffer. Like
really, it's just the doctor just like saying, you are not a good person. You are bad.
like all over degradation.
Just degrading the people.
So they're like, maybe they can do it one more time, 2 more times. They're gagging, whatever.
Before somebody dies.
Before somebody dies. Oh, and there's children. There's children,
Yes.
telepathic children. But so Janeway's determined to get these folks to the wormhole. So then another divorce ship shows up, this time by itself. And it's Miss Wookiee planet Kashyyyk. And he
By herself.
By herself.
Yes.
And Janeway's like, let him on. He comes on.
Bring it.
In sort of civilian clothes. Very soft looking civilian clothes.
Very casual separates.
Prada darling.
Yeah, casual separates. She's very off duty.
Yeah, and she's like,
Very off duty.
I'm defecting from the divorce and I want asylum on your ship.
And Miss Katie's like, say what now?
Uh-huh.
I'm defecting. And I need your help.
Me. Now, why would I risk the safety of my crew by harboring a defector?
She's sus about it.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know about that. But
Yes.
she doesn't turn him down.
And it's clear that she's slightly aroused.
Very much so.
Yes.
They got a vibe.
When did that vibe start?
Oh, I
Right
think
now?
From the beginning, honey.
From the beginning,
You felt it?
Yeah, I was feeling I was feeling that he was into her.
Right.
I wasn't feeling that she was into him.
Right.
But from the beginning, I was feeling that he was into her.
Because he's smarmy. He's very smarmy.
Yeah.
But then they start working together, and she starts to see, oh, wait a minute, aside from being smarmy and a revenant,
He's got hairy forearms.
Guy.
he's a nice guy. He's clearly very smart. He does give up real tactical information.
Right.
Because they're trying to figure out where the next wormhole is going to appear.
Right, because this wormhole does not have a fixed opening point in space. It has a different opening point. To us, when the hole keeps on moving and it's really dark at the club, and you're like, could you stay still, please?
Still. I'm trying to put this in there.
For Christ's sake.
Would you
It's the
please
black
keep
party.
that spatial flexure in one place?
In
I
one
got to
place,
lube
please.
it up.
And I'm saying, oh, I'm sorry. That's when you just slap it lightly.
Right. Right.
And the only response is sorry.
So
Sorry.
sorry.
Baya?
So they're in
Baya?
Janeway's quarters, and she's wearing a sleeveless purple Starfleet shirt.
And for the and one of
Yes.
those rare times, giving me decolletage.
Well,
Giving me decolletage.
He is a woman.
She is a woman.
they're trying to kind of do like a witty repartee.
Anxiety doesn't become you, Inspector. Try to relax a little.
I suppose you liked me better in uniform.
I haven't decided whether I like you at all.
Rock Hudson,
Chemistry.
Doris Day.
Yeah, a romantic.
And there's something rugged about this, or maybe there's something swarthy about this man.
Oh, he's dominant.
Yeah.
He dominant, and she's
Right.
like, oh, she hasn't been a sub since Mark and the Puppies back on Earth.
That's
And
right.
and
No, since that child with the halo on his head that was
Yes.
all about
Oh, right.
gifting y'all.
when
that-
the pecan
when
pie
that-
dude.
Ugly ass bitch was getting her moist.
Yeah.
But then there's another episode where they're kidnapped and put to work on a planet. They
That's
forget who they
later.
are. Or is that later?
And I don't know that she's sub in that or just more like cheerful.
But she gives
I'm
him a
gonna get
piece
to
too.
work.
Like she gives
So
him
many
a piece.
people.
That guy. That guy gets a piece.
Yeah. Yes, he does.
Bitch,
He
you
gets
got,
a piece.
he was also kind of tasty, but you got to get home, But so they're like working on this wormhole thing, and they keep talking about wormholes, and it's getting
And,
a little awkward.
And like maybe like he like there's a moment where she says you wouldn't be the first stray we picked up. She's like, if you want to come along,
Right,
Please
right.
You're invited.
And you know what? She genuinely wants to help these like little strays, but like in this case, she also sort of sees a guy who is an equal, who is a commander, and also someone who's not part of her crew.
Right.
I think she has designs on him.
She's like-
It's low key designs, but she's got
Yeah.
designs on him.
She's like a man.
It's like, oh man.
But although how wise is it for her to have him in her quarters and like nobody else is there?
She's the captain.
But then she walks him back to his quarters where he's saying, and by the way, why are they giving him quarters?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, didn't he just like terrorize these people?
Right.
And he makes the move. He's like, do you want to come in? And like, it's a very pregnant look that they give to each other. And he steps in and she sort of stares in.
And he's like, I'll replicate you some pecan pie.
And yeah, and you know, oh, but I turned your replicator off. And then like, it's like a moment that's very pregnant. And then she decides, no, I'm just going to walk away. And the door closes and she stops and she looks at the lieutenant that's guarding the room. And she's like,
as you were.
As you were.
Because he's like, the captain going to get it.
We're going to get a piece. Yes. Yes. And you know what? She thought the thing that kept her from doing it was it would look bad in front of the security guard. Because if the security guard wasn't there, she would have been like, I'm getting me some.
I think she's too smart. I think First of all, we don't know what kind of genitalia they have in the Devore Imperium. It could be a lethal weapon.
Honey, I hope it is.
No, lies, darling.
Yes.
Girls.
Honey, you know what? You'll figure something out. You'll replicate something. We will,
they're going to replicate something.
Yeah. We'll figure something out.
So she leaves him there with his blue alien balls and her twitching. She's like, oh man. And she goes back to her quarters. No, she probably went to the holodeck.
Okay.
And
because she's getting some on the holodeck from the Irish dude, the hot Irish dude.
At Fairhaven, darling?
In Fairhaven.
And
who kind of looks like this guy a little bit.
A little bit. At some point, they get word about someone that knows where the wormhole is.
Orton or Torte
or Fruiton.
I think his name was Dorito.
Something like that. So,
and he's a famous scientist.
Right. They do something really shady to him. They basically kidnap him.
Yeah.
Basically, they just abduct him and bring him onto the ship, which, that's not very ethical. He doesn't want nothing to do with you.
Yeah. And also, like he didn't have like some kind of force field technology.
Right.
He
if he's so smart.
Yeah.
But, we're talking about Voyager, darling.
It is Voyager, darling.
So Janeway and Kashyyyk, who now is Professor Kashyyyk, are trying to get this Frito-Lay creature to give them the whereabouts of the wormhole. And he's like, it's not where, it's when.
That's right. And her and Catherine and Kashyyyk, good cop, bad cop him into him divulging.
Like Kashyyyk says something that makes the alien so upset, his nostrils pulse.
Yeah.
And it's so funny.
Obscurity.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It gets all bulbous.
Like a frog.
And I think Kate Mulgrew was actually gagging.
Yeah.
She's amused.
But so finally he gives them the information that they need to find this wormhole. And then before you know it, child, those Devore people, they're back.
They're coming back. They're not back yet. They're coming back.
Hang on.
They're coming.
Oh, hang on. No. I'm wrong. So then Voyager gets the information to where they're going to meet the transport to go into the wormhole. Right. They get this encoded message.
Right. But then they have to get past an automated security shielding device that belongs to the Devore. And Kashyyyk ostensibly is going to help them do this, but they have to do it within like this 40-second variance of some kind. And they attempt it, but it doesn't work.
It works once, right?
It works once, but then it doesn't work the second time. And that notifies the Devore, and then all these warships are coming.
Right.
And where does the refractive shielding come into it?
The refractive shielding was why they couldn't see the Devore ships in that nebula, because it's all a trap. It's a trap. It's all a trap. They had actually the ship that they were going to contact that was going to take them to the wormhole was subdued already, and so the message that they actually got was from the Devore to trap them in this nebula, and the refractive shielding was to hide their ships. But now Catherine knows how to use that refractive shielding as well, knows that it's a trap, but then also at this point, shouldn't she have intuited that Kashyyyk was like a double. What would you call that? A
Because
double agent.
Double agent.
Because she
He's playing
gave
both
her-
sides.
He gave her the information about how to spook the shielding.
But it's
Right.
quid pro quo. It's I'll give you a little information so that you'll trust me,
Right.
and I'll give you a little information so that you'll trust me. But both of them were actually
each
trying
other.
to double play each other.
Because he's
They
like,
did a good job.
he's like, just get
Yeah.
me to the wormhole.
Yes. And I think that, like, even though I think that she, in a way, maybe thought this guy might be trying to double cross us, but if he's not, I'll give him a piece. Like, if he decides to come along,
They're both
You can
give him a
come
piece.
along.
they're being
Yeah.
very cagey, both of them.
Both of them were
it's-
keeping
it's
it
a
sort of
duel of
cagey.
wits. It's a duel of wits, but it's unspoken. They're both playing
Yeah.
nice.
And they really do like each other.
They do.
There is- they
a
do.
spark.
There is an
chemistry.
attraction.
Yeah, there is an attraction.
Speaking of attraction, then we see Neelix with a bunch of kids. As Neelix is telling the story, the little telepathic kid is reading his mind, and he's like, I don't want touching.
Finishing this.
Yeah.
What?
It's what? Well, because he could read Neelix's mind. And so, anyway, the kid's a brat. And also, why put Neelix in charge of kids? He's the cook.
Right.
He's the morale officer. He's the local predator. And so I think at that point, the Devore ships come back and Neelix has, oh no. Kathy comes to the mess hall and she's like,
She's a little bit hungry.
are you only serving stories or you're also serving face?
Is the kitchen still open? Or are you just serving stories?
And he says, for you, Captain, anything. Before she even gets a chance to drink that Leola root tea,
Before she gets to training.
before she gets a training, which is the story that Neelix is telling.
Right.
And the telepathic
Right.
kid is like, oh, I think that the Devore come back, and so Neelix has to get the kids back into hiding, along with the rest of the telepaths,
Ensign Vorik, Tuvok.
the Betazoids, the refugees. They all have to go back into stasis.
Suspension.
Right. And Kashyyyk is like, yo, I think the best chance of survival is if I go back to the ship and I'm, the divorce ship, and I'm able to, keep them off of your hot sauce, And Kathy's like, well, all right, but, we'll wait for you by the wormhole as long as possible.
Because,
With
you
some
got
extra
it like that.
Sharihatsu sauce. Yeah,
Some
you got it
shari-
like that, boy.
Honey, some Naraji chicken, darling.
And
And
Leola
so, and some Leola root, darling. Oh, I bet you he got a Leola root,
root. You know it. It's like 3-pronged.
bitch. And so she escorts him to his shuttle.
They have a passionate kiss
Right.
in the shuttle
Jeanette.
bay.
He kisses her
Yeah.
first, and then she's like, "Oh fuck this!" shit."
And then
Right.
she goes in,
kiss-
yeah.
She
Right.
kisses him back.
Right.
She was like, you know what? He could be a double spy, but I want him to just pinch the Leola root right here.
yeah.
Pinch it.
Yep.
Pinch it.
Yep. There's a G spot in that nebula. Find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But you know what? She was playing it both ways, where it was like, if he comes, if he meets me by the thing, then he'll come along.
right.
And we'll have the, but if not, I have my little plan in place.
That's
Right.
right though.
So then inspection time. Here come the Devore. Here come Inspector Kashyyyk.
time.
Inspection time.
Yes. Because Kashyyyk, in order to save the crew, goes back
Right. To his
Yeah.
people.
to his people.
But then
Ostensibly.
shows
escape.
up back on Voyager
Dressed up as his Nazi
in
self.
his Nazi leather self and summons her to the ready room with the was it Mahler, the music, the counterpoint? Which is the
Tchaikovsky.
Tchaikovsky, okay. And wasn't Tchaikovsky the professor on Fame? Or that was Mr. Sharovsky?
The Sharovsky.
Oh, no.
Tchaikovsky.
So he's being his snotty, smarmy self, sitting in her chair. And then again, being a dick. And then he dismisses Prax again. And then they kind of drop the pretense in air quotes. And she's like, do you think they bought it? He's like, I don't know. Did you find the wormhole?
Well, he was still playing it because he wanted to make sure that she had figured out where the wormhole was. Because that's ultimately what the Devore were trying to figure out, because clearly refugees are escaping their space through this wormhole, which doesn't have a fixed point in space. So he wants to destroy it. So, he's like, yeah, did you find the wormhole? Yeah, it's just off the starboard bow. She shows it to him. And then he drops the real pretense, which is, we're going to destroy it, and we're going to take your ship, and
We sent you the
You gon'
encoded
gag.
message.
Exactly.
We know you
And-
have them in stasis in the buffer and all of it.
And Miss Katie looking very miffed and
Yes.
very cold.
Because she got played.
You know, and
Sorta.
he's like, well, whatever. I don't think so.
Right.
Hello.
And so, and
Hey, that's
so,
what he says. She says, "Are you doing this?" And he's like, "Hello,
Hello.
hello."
Hello, Missy.
and so he's on the bridge with his Nazis, and he has Janeway sit in her captain's chair, and they find this spatial flexure / wormhole and fire proton things into it. As in the cargo bay, Prax is dematerializing the biopatterns in the buffer. Well, wouldn't you know that Miss Kathy pulled the wool over his eyes?
Meow, meow.
Meow, meow. What actually happened was, it wasn't the telepaths in the buffer. It was containers of Leola root, vegetables. And what had gone into the spatial flexure was not a photon torpedo. It was a shuttlecraft with the refugees, the telepathic refugees.
Right.
Well, because the actual wormhole wasn't off the starboard bow; it was somewhere else.
You created false readings.
That is the theme for this evening, isn't it?
So Kathy
And
played him.
So Kathy played him, and she sent them in 2 of her shuttles, and they went straight in, and they closed the wormhole, and now
They closed the
gone.
rift.
yeah, they were
closed
gone.
the rift.
Right.
At this point, the Devore could still take Voyager as spoils of war.
Oh, Prax is like, we're going to take them all prisoner and impound the ship.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
Let him have it.
Kashyyyk is like, do you really think that either one of us want this on our records? Fool. Make sure
Fool.
your crew knows the same. Basically saying this never happened.
Right.
And it's just Kashyyyk and Janeway on the bridge.
And I think Kashyyyk does it because he's an opportunist and he's a careerist and doesn't want this, this smudge on his record. But then on top of it, begrudgingly, he had an attraction and a respect for her. And
Right.
and he's like, okay, you know what? You played it well. And he lets them go.
And she's like, for what it's worth, when I made that offer, it was real. And he's like, it was very tempting. And I believe it.
My offer to take you with us was genuine, and it would still stand if you'd kept your part of the bargain.
For what it's worth, you made a tempting offer.
I believe he
I
was
believe it.
tempted to stay with them.
I
Yeah.
think he liked her. But in the end, he was still a total alien douche.
Well, let's explore that for a second. Why don't they trust telepaths?
Do you trust me?
Not for a second.
Exactly. And why should you? Trust has to be earned. It's gradual.
You can't deal with people that you can't trust. And telepaths don't have to trust people because they can.
Because they can see right what the truth is right away.
Right. So that spooks the hell out of these Devore Imperium folks. Although I want to say at some point, someone says to one of the refugees, why don't you just read their minds? And he says that they undergo years of mental training to resist it.
Resist it.
Also, am I mistaken, but was Tuvok on the bridge by the end?
No,
I could
No.
swear he was there.
no, because I think they would have sensed it or known it
Or seen him as a Vulcan.
or seen him.
I think
Yeah.
it was gratuitous when when Tuvok said to Kashyyyk, live long and prosper.
Right.
Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so, Tuvok. Tuvok knows better than to trust this guy. It just
Well,
Maybe he was playing along the way.
right. Maybe he was
Oh.
playing along.
Well, they're playing 3D chess and I'm playing fucking Ms. Pac-Man on a busted handheld. Yeah.
On like one of the early Game Boys, the one that had no color.
Black and white, black and
Black
green.
and
Honey,
white
I'm
Game
playing Ms.
Boys.
Pac-Man on pen and paper.
Oh,
It's a slow game.
yeah.
Anyway, so
Yes.
I really enjoyed Counterpoint. And the point of Counterpoint was that in music, there's a thing called counterpoint, which is the highs and the lows, the darks and the lights. And in a way, it was Janeway and Kashyyyk in counterpoint to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was very clever. I thought that the episode completely rested on the performances because the plot was, standard. But Miss Mulgrew and Miss Harry Forearms, I forgot his name already, Herlick, they were great. They had real chemistry. I believed it. I felt for both of them, but I also did not trust him.
Nope, and she never did either.
Yeah.
But had he given her a reason to trust her, she Miss Katie, picking up strays.
Yeah.
How she do.
She was so good. I mean, all of her acting choices are always spot on. Like, when in the beginning when Prax gives her the coffee, she doesn't drink it. She just kind of puts her hand over the top of the cup, like real slow. Like she's simmering with rage, but she can't show it. So I really enjoyed Counterpoint. I think it's a strong episode,
Right.
completely a Janeway episode. I mean, Seven's in it, B'Elanna's in it, and Tom looking all cute with his juggy ears, looking all cute. On a scale of 1 to 5 Imperium alien blue balls, I'm gonna give this a 4.
Wow.
I really enjoyed this
Wow.
character piece. I really enjoyed it.
I liked this episode. I did like the interplay between Kashyyyk and Janeway. It's really all about them. And they do hold a nice tension in the center of the screen. I'm going to give it like 2.5 Leola root. I thought it was a serviceable episode.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a 2.
Oh, I'm gagging.
Oh, and that shady sideways glance.
What?
Boo!
I'm gonna give it a 2.
I'm giving it a 2.
It gets a 2.
Okay.
She was boring. It was boring. It was. I mean, I give it a strong 2 because I live for Miss Catherine and anything she does. But I just wasn't.
Well, I know it wasn't Neelix talking about flot her, but I. Wow, so you guys really didn't love this episode.
I didn't love it. Let's just put it that way. But I not that I didn't. I mean, I didn't hate it. And is that plant gasping behind you?
This one?
Yeah. Or
No,
is that
this-
the way it's supposed to look?
This is actually 3 kinds of it's like a jungle cactus, ripsalis. It's 3 kinds of look, it has berries.
Get out of here.
Look at that, girl. It's actually 3 different kinds of ripsalis that I just kind of grow together. It's a jungle cactus.
Fabulous.
Much like myself.
You missed Michael literally killing one of his plants in the last episode that we did, but you were off at that point.
Yeah, I knocked over my philodendron, my OI.
Oh no.
Yeah, which is the only way I remember what that is called is because in my head I hear philodendron, my oh my.
I got a surprise Christmas present coming
For you or
For
from
John?
you?
for me. It's a baby Yoda.
From Bob?
Really?
Yeah, I
How do
knew.
you know?
I
How do you
found
know?
it.
You found it?
Oh,
Yeah,
good
he-
for
I missed
you.
So
it.
I have to keep it hidden. I
For
can't be-
$100, I won't tell Bob.
For Bob, I mean.
Yeah. Oh, don't cry, girl. I'm not really going to do it.
But why do you have to keep it quiet?
Because Christmas
It's a
presents must be
surprise.
secret, darling.
But is it a surprise for Bob?
No,
it's
it's
for
from
me.
Bob. But
How can
apparently,
you surprise yourself? Boo, you already know about.
I know, but I can't tell him that I found it.
Okay, because
So,
you
okay.
paid an exorbitant amount of money.
no, Matinga,
I don't know.
Matinga, Bob bought it for Booby as a surprise Christmas present, and Booby snooping around found it.
Oh, is that what happened? Oh,
That's so sweet. Don't you mean Grogu?
Yes,
Miss Grogu.
Miss Grogu.
I
Is
was
his
talking.
name is the baby called
Oh,
Grogu?
sorry, girl. If you were watching The Mandalorian, you'd care.
I'm not watching.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's his name.
Do you know? So our friend Andres Munt said that he's going to refer to that creature as Grow Girl,
Grow girl.
which I think is much fiercer.
Grow on girl.
Yeah, grow
But-
on, girl.
Now is Ahsoka on this season?
Oh yes.
Oh, and she
And-
turned it.
Is-
Oh my
she
God.
turning it?
Yeah, Rosario Dawson.
She really turned it.
She looks just like her. She sounds just like her.
I was gonna
She's
say,
living.
is she giving you the character, the cartoon character?
Totally.
She is.
And she's kicking Jedi ass.
So much so that they're giving her her own show.
Really?
They want to give her a spin-off.
Work.
Mm.
Would it be totally crazy just to jump into the second season, sight
No,
unseen, pay the first season nooch?
No,
No, you
girl,
gotta see the
gotta-
first season.
Really?
And
Yeah.
it's really
You'll live.
good.
It's
Will
really
I not
good.
understand what's happening?
You'll enjoy it so much more if you see them all.
Because
And
you'll
girl, they're
understand
good.
the connection between Baby Yoda
connections.
and the
Grow
Mandalorian.
Girl. His name
Grow
is Grow
Girl.
Girl.
Grow girl.
Grow girl.
So
Okay,
she's
I
gonna
guess
get
I'm
her
gonna
own
have to
spin-off.
watch it.
You know who else is getting a spin-off is Janeway in an animated thing, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, I hate I love that Janeway's going to be doing something,
Mm.
but I hate the premise. I hate
Animation.
it. It is going to be animation. I don't mind that, but it's the premise is a bunch of children find a derelict Federation starship somewhere, and they go off on adventures.
And Neelix is on it?
And Janeway mentors them. I'm just like,
all she says is stay away from Neelix.
it's like that's an odd
I don't like it.
Premise.
It's an odd premise.
She's going to voice it?
Yeah, it's going to be her voicing it, but it takes away from the grounded reality of all the rest of the shows, of Voyager, of everything, Discovery. Do you watch Discovery, Boo?
Not really.
It's so good. I would at least try and watch that second season because it's so good.
I'm getting over it.
The third season's a little bit quiet for me.
I'm not feeling this season.
The second season's so good.
Season 2 was great. I was loving seasons 1 and 2. I got to be honest. I'm not feeling this season. Just call
everybody's saying that.
I'm
It's
so called the
cries a
Michael
lot?
Burnham show, and it's like all these unearned emotional beats.
Does she cry?
Nah. Does she
But
cry?
it's
They're
like-
all crying all the time.
It's like last year was adventure, 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 big, dramatic special effects scenes, adventure, adventure. This season, it's like become like this quiet family drama.
Emotions.
It's all about the
And
emotions.
There's no eye candy. Where's Lorca? Where's Pike?
Where's Ash?
Eh.
So it's like but
I mean,
I'm
there's
still
that guy Book. He's kind of hot, but
I'm still on board. I'm
I'm
on board.
I'm gonna finish it out because the season's almost done. But
They're
'Cause
filming. They're currently filming season 4.
and I do like Sonequa Martin Brown's braids.
The braids are cute. Let's do braids. When in doubt.
That is her name.
Do
right?
either of you see
It's
watch
green.
Sabrina?
Green.
It's green.
Brown.
So-
How
so-
dare
so
I?
racist.
William
Bitch.
Green and William Brown.
Ah,
So what I said was,
Soniqua Brown
and her braids.
and those braids, those cross braids. You racist bitch.
Shut up, ho.
Hey, did either one of you watch Sabrina?
No, I don't think so.
I watched the entire first season. I liked it,
But what does that have to do with Star Trek Voyager Season 5 Counterpoint?
but I didn't
Absolutely nothing.
live.
You got to
I
watch the
did not
second
live.
season. You'll live.
And you know, it got canceled. No fourth season.
I know. Well, the new season is coming out now.
What
But that's
does
the third
that
season.
But it's the
have
last
to
season,
do
yeah.
with Star Trek Voyager Season 5 Counterpoint?
But all of this is in the comic book sci-fi horror
Realm.
Milieu.
milieu.
Missy.
And so and so we're talking about the frisson
Oh,
of
Frisson.
all these different shows
And all these journeyman actors in the penultimate
milieu.
episodes, girl.
and these penultimate
Girl.
episodes.
Yeah.
That's what we're
girl.
talking about.
Why
'Cause
you so cunning,
we're
girl?
sci-fi nerds, girl.
Trust, bitch. I
Okay.
mean, that's true.
Yeah.
But let me just say that I'm much more hardcore about it because this episode got 4 from me because I know what I'm talking about. Okay.
Or maybe your core just got hard.
Maybe it did.
Maybe it just
I
got
still
hard.
don't know if I found him hot or not, Inspector.
But it was hot.
I mean, if I was on a hit of X,
Yes.
or
One too many Ractaginos.
or even like just like a little bit of G.
just a little bit, then he'd
And
be
maybe some like
over.
icy hot in my underwear.
or maybe like a lot of G, like so much G that
Yeah.
you can't even make it to his door. You're
Right.
like, are you a door?
Right. That seems to be the theme for the evening. Girl, one time I was
sexy.
I was in LA and I had some G and I got really bored. Oh no, wait, that's the time I walked to Target on G. Moving on.
And what does that have to do with
I'll tell-
Counterpoint Star Trek?
I will
okay,
tell you.
bitch.
I will tell
What
you.
does that have to
Let me
do
tell-
with
I
G
will
on
te-
Santa
I
Monica
will te-
Boulevard?
Okay, I had replicated some GHB, okay, and I kept it in this little thing in a sock because that's how my friend gave it to me. And I went to hook up with this guy in Culver City, and I called an Uber and I did the G right when I got into the Uber, and I was feeling fine. About a 20-minute ride from Hollywood to Culver City, bitch. When I got out of the car, everything
couldn't-
tilted sideways. And I just like, I kind of grabbed a handrail as I walked to his door and I was like, oh God, why did I tell him I would top? Why did I tell him I would top?
And now you're sloppy from the get.
And he didn't notice anything amiss, darling. It was fine. I forgot his name. He was tall. Anyway,
He was probably in G2.
no.
Probably.
I don't party with those kind of people, darling. Okay, so listen.
Or
this-
like that, or like that time that my friend asked me, they're like, dude, are you on G? And I was like, no, GTE.
Oh, if the listeners could only see your face right now. If we have any listeners left, you can always find us on Patreon, Venmo. We are Workshop, WERQSHOP. You can get your absolutely gorgeous Fire Chakotay merch at teespring.com/store/ Actually, I think it's there's a different address. Check the link in the description.
It's in the link down below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I have one more comment about Counterpoint. I did notice in this episode that Seven is in a blue catsuit.
Yes.
In a what?
Her blue
In a blue
catsuit.
catsuit.
So she's
blue
moved
catsuit.
on from the silver to the brown, and now she's in the blue.
Correct.
And she keeps it for the rest of the series?
I think she alternates between blue and brown
Okay.
for the
I
rest.
know I do.
Trust.
Anyway, you've been listening to Fire Chakotay. This is Mike Diamond.
This is Miss Matinga.
And this is Booby.